Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Westbrook Christian Football Show. Jeff Underwood, Jerry White. Who's this guy you got across from you?
Just the old ball coach. The old ball coach. Talking a little ball.
Yep.
Let's start out, Coach. Jeff and I, we go down some different paths, right?
Right.
Just talking, hanging out, chilling. Tell you how we go on the subject. I'm going to read you a couple quotes.
Okay.
I want you to know if you can. Let me know who said them.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna throw you an easy one to start with. Easy one.
Okay.
Probably the.
He's rubbing his head like he's taking a practice.
I'm having to think. I'm having to think.
All right. Here's the first one. It ain't over till it's over.
I've said that before.
So you're taking credit for the quote?
No, I'm not taking credit for the quote, but I have used that one before.
Yeah. I could see. There's another I'm thinking can be used in a football situation. Hey, if the world were perfect, it wouldn't be. It's a profound statement. Who said that?
That is profound, but I never said that one, but I like it.
Okay. We made too many wrong mistakes.
I don't know if I've said that or not, but I probably, grammatically speaking, I've made plenty of errors.
English major?
No English major.
Okay, neither are we. Jeff could be. He could have been. Never answer an anonymous letter.
That is a philosophy that I have, but I don't know that I've ever told that to anybody else.
That's probably good to live by.
Right. Yeah, I've always felt like if somebody wouldn't put their name to it, it wasn't really worth addressing.
Hey, he preached on that one time.
Hey, we
That's a good
I had
one.
an anonymous letter sent to me years and years ago.
Wait, one dropped off at the church.
I got up in the pulpit and read it
That's
the next Sunday.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to put your business out there on the street
Right.
if you're scared to sign it.
Right. I like it.
You got some more?
And what he was doing, he noticed he was sliding down in the middle of the pew.
Yeah.
Tell who
It
it
was Jerry. Jerry wrote it.
No, man, I don't write like that. Was it misspelled? I'm dyslexic, so don't worry backwards. It was me. Coach, the future ain't what it used to be.
I've heard some coaches say that. I'm more optimistic than that. I wouldn't say that, I don't think.
All right, how about let's move to a baseball quote. Baseball quote. All pitchers are criers and liars and crybabies. Sorry, I see my dyslexia kicking in.
You showed up, dude.
All pitchers are liars and crybabies.
I've thought it probably, but I don't know if I've said it.
90% of the game is half physical.
That was a Yogi Berra quote, wasn't it?
These are all Yogi Berras, by the way.
I'm a yogiism guy, so I believe in that.
Coach, when you come to a fork in the road, take it.
I love that one.
What's the one you said about it's getting dark early out here?
Yeah, hold on. There's so many quotes, and my favorite all-time Yogi Berra quote was, "I didn't say half the stuff that I said," which is pretty good.
Yeah.
This was on a pregame preparation. Has nothing to do with Westbrook football, by the way. We hanging out with the old ball coach. He said, "I usually take a 2-hour nap between 1 to 4."
Here's one from the audience. They say, "Who said this?" Quote, "I have no idea who Kevin Moore is." End quote.
I think I said that. But hey, when you put a name and a face together, I've known Kevin for a long time.
Yeah, you have.
I just didn't know him as Kevin Moore at that
That's
time.
so good, man. And that was Kevin Moore that asked that question.
Hey, but I'll never make that mistake again.
No, I bet you
This one kind of goes right along with Kevin Moore. You tell the stupidest questions.
That was talking about Jerry, wasn't it?
Yep.
That's rude and insensitive, Coach. I happen to be here.
Well, I thought that might have been one of you faithfuls.
Coach, what's your favorite dessert? I'm about to tell you what Yogi Berra's is. What's your favorite dessert?
I know from looking at my stomach and my physique that you probably won't believe that I don't really like dessert that much. But
Thanksgiving's coming.
If I had to,
Sure.
I'm a sucker for some peanut M&Ms, and I'm also a sucker for some chocolate on chocolate cake. Just chocolate on chocolate.
That's two good ones.
But other than that, I don't need a whole lot of dessert.
So Yogi Berra's favorite all-time dessert is pie a la mode with ice cream.
Double ice cream.
Double ice cream.
Double ice cream.
Double ice cream.
Good stuff.
We'll get to it. We're just having fun with Yogi Berra this morning. Coach, hey, let's just pull the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
Not the outcome that anyone wanted
Right.
for our side in this football game. So kind of just break down the how the game went, the flow of the game, and how we got to where we are.
Yeah, first off, Geraldine's got a great team. They
Sure.
deserved to win the game. So hats off to them, Coach Davis and his crew at Bulldogs. I wish them nothing but the best of luck the rest of the way.
Yeah.
A classy team. They play the game the right way, hard-nosed, physical, but great sportsmanship on their end. Not a lot of trash talking on either side, just a good old-fashioned high school football game. We jumped out 7-0 lead, played really well on the defensive side of the ball, took away some things that they had been hurting people with early on.
Mm-hmm.
And, they come out and threw a touchdown pass on the first play of the second quarter and tied the game up. They made some nice adjustments on some ways that they blocked some things, some option plays that our primary focus was to get the ball out of Wade's hand, the quarterback that had been
Sure.
such a demon on the football field this year. And we did a good job of corralling him. But they made some plays out with a pitch off the option that we had not seen them make all year long. And they hit a couple of big pass plays on us. One was a 3rd and 20. A guy made a one-hand catch, just made a great play on the ball. I thought our kids played extremely hard all night long. They blocked the punt right before halftime, short field, and got a touchdown, made it 21-7. We had some momentum there in the first half and second half on some drives and just kind of bogged down. A lot of that had to do with them stopping us too now. So it wasn't always just a mistake that we might have made, but just didn't do enough to win the game. Basically, was what happened, and they did. And it's one of those things. Nobody wanted to see it end last Friday night. We'd much rather be coming off of practice this morning, getting ready for a quarterfinal matchup, but that wasn't in the cards for us. And can't say enough good things about our kids and how they played and about where they battled all year long, but just came up on the short end of the stick last Friday night.
When you look back at Friday night, not X's and O's, because
Right.
that's you're an X and O guy.
Right.
But what's the first thing that comes to your mind emotionally? What after looking back?
Well, just it's one of those things to where you go back and you see how hard our guys played, and you saw all the plays that they did make. I mean, when you give up 31 points, and a lot of times people say, "Oh, defense must." Our defense played lights out. I mean, there were 4 or 5 plays in that game to where they just made some plays, some big plays that got them either a touchdown or got them close. And the score don't tell the story behind how our guys played. I think we had 11 tackles behind the line of scrimmage during the game. We had a lot of big plays. Just disappointed in the fact that we weren't able to do enough to get the win, I guess, is the biggest thing, because I thought our kids battled extremely hard in all 3 phases. And we just came up a little bit short. I mean, you got a group of kids like we have. I've said this many times in here before about our kids, the way they play, the way they prepare, just the way they carry themselves. I mean, I couldn't be more proud to be the coach of a bunch of guys than I am of this group. And to see them dejected and heartbroken, man, that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
I've been here doing it for a long time. And you try to tell them, you try to have words of wisdom, words of encouragement that you can give them. There's not really a whole lot of good things you can say when it comes to an end, when they poured so much heart and soul into it.
Right.
I told them, I said, there's going to be a lot more seasons that end this way than end with happiness and holding up a trophy, but it still doesn't take the sting away for those guys that played their last high school football game. And the underclassmen, everybody says, well, underclassmen, they got more time to come. Yeah, but, we're not guaranteed anything. And, we teach these kids to try to live in the moment, be where their feet are. And right now, they're not really worried about more time to come. They're worried about the fact that, hey, we didn't get it done this year.
Yeah.
And for a lot of those guys, it meant, turning in their pads and getting ready to go to basketball practice or indoor track or a spring sport. And it's still a little bit of a hangover that even a week later, because we're disappointed we're not practicing football.
Yep.
Sometimes the outcome doesn't let you know how good your team is. Your team was better. To me, I think this team, I'm not talking generally, I thought it just is one of the better teams Westbrook has had in quite some time. Top to bottom talent-wise, I think it was an unbelievable bunch.
Yeah.
Can we talk about those seniors just for a little bit? And
Sure.
we'll dive more into it because this is kind of for those guys, right?
Yeah.
You got some great seniors.
We do. We had 14 seniors this year. Our entire offense was seniors with the exception of Brody at quarterback and Jack Larkin at right tackle. So we started 9 guys. When you talk about on the offensive line, 4 senior starters, Cooper Lancaster and Jonah Valentine, and then Taylor Brown and Luke Armstrong. All 3 of our starting receivers, Beckham Hammond-Tree, Brody Johnson, Bo Kilgo were seniors. Both our running backs, Maximus Jones, Brody Wood were seniors. Defensively, we had 2 senior starters in Jake Haney at nose guard and Luke Thompson at safety. And then you had Bryce Mitchell and Noah Meredith who were offensive defensive line backup players that have been great assets to our program. And then Will Chadwick was a senior who was a first-year football player that came out this year and got to experience being a high school football player. And I've said this about Will, he was a really, really talented kid that just was learning his way. I think had he played football the entire time, he'd have been a really good football player for us, but so proud of all those guys for the roles that they played, the leadership that they had in our locker room. They're going to be missed for sure. And most, I think probably 9 or 10 of those 14 have been there all 3 years that I've been there. We kind of grew up together. They kind of went through the hard, and they went through the somewhat good, and then they went through the really good. So at the end of the day, I'm so proud of those guys, and I know they're all going to move on to other things, and they're all going to do well in life. They're great kids. They come from great families, and just excited that I got to be a part of their life.
That's awesome.
Well, a lot of times the football games isn't what's the most memorable, right? It's the practices, it's the lifts and the different things. What's some of the things that stood out to you from this senior group that you guys had in the last 3 years?
Just I think their competitiveness, is something that has really grown. Some of the guys that when we first got into the football mindset type deal, and there was like, well, I don't know if he really likes football, if he just playing because his dad wants him to play. I think all 14 of those guys left the locker room loving the grind. They loved what we did. They loved the practice. They loved the working out. They loved every part of it. And I think also they saw the benefits of it. They saw the benefits of them in other sports, the discipline for other areas of their life, the fact that, they got to be a part of something special. 10-win season, those are not very common.
Sure.
And getting to be a part of that. And just walking around being proud to be a Westbrook football player. And, I think that was something that all those guys are going to carry with them as great memories. I'm sure there are plenty of stupid things that I said at some point in time, that they probably sit around and joke about, that I know.
We're going to have a show like the Yogi Berra quote.
Bring them in for
Steve Smith quote.
I'm sure there's things that they laughed about with their coaches or things like that over the course of the last 3 years. But all those are just great memories. Those are things that you talk about when you have class reunions and stuff. So just the amount of time that we spent together and getting to be around those guys and getting to know them on a more personal level, it's been something special.
As a dad, think about when your son when they played their final game.
Right.
It's tough. I mean, for these parents, sometimes it's unbelievably tough for parents.
Well, and you want things for your kids. I mean, I think all of us have been guilty at some point in time of saying that we want our kids to have it better than we had it. We want them to. And when your kids go through tough times and they go through times when they're hurting, I mean, it hurts as a parent. Sure. I mean, you have to let them fly. You don't have to let them be their own people. But nobody wants to see their kids down and out. And there's a lot of disappointment on that bus ride back from Geraldine. A lot of disappointment when we left the field house for the last time as a team. Mm-hmm. We're still going to run into each other at school and all, but that'd be the last time that those 55 guys are together on the football field, dressed out playing a football game. And that's something that when it sets in, it's kind of a surreal type feeling.
I mean, you guys, there's nothing to hold their heads down about. I mean, you're 10-2, you're 7-1 in the region, 6-0 at home.
Right.
You outscored your opponents 502 to like 150 to 7 or what. I mean, that's beast numbers.
Yep.
That's a great season.
Well, and Coach Durier, he's like kind of he and Matt Jones tag team stats and things like that. But Kurt keeps up with a lot of the historical part of it. And I think our point score was the most in school history.
It was.
I think the points allowed was like the third least in school history, and he had some other tidbits on there that the overtime win, I think, was the first one since '92. But he went on and on with things like that when I was able to, he did all the work on that. I didn't do any of the work, but he had that listed for me, and I was able to read those things off to the kids in that last team meeting when we handed them a sheet with the statistics and all that on it. Seeing when it was put in that kind of format and letting them actually see and hear some of the things that were accomplished, I think it made them feel a little bit better, and it still didn't take away the sting of the loss. But to know that they were one of the top teams in Westbrook school history, I think was something for them to be proud of, and knowing that they're going to be remembered as a team that had that 10-win season and went to the second round of the playoffs, and a lot of those younger kids that are coming up, even in the middle school, elementary ranks, when you start seeing those guys want to emulate and be like Bo or Brody or whoever,
Mhm.
then I think that says a lot about them and the leadership that they provided.
Kerry says, Coop said the overtime win at Tryon was his favorite memory from the season.
Well, I think a lot of people probably would carry that. It was just the excitement, how that game played out,
Yeah.
and how, I mean, it was a hard-nosed, hard-fought game, and coming down just the last play and scoring, and then having to stop them, keep them from scoring, and getting a fourth down tackle about 3 yards short of the first down. I mean, it was a fun atmosphere. It was a playoff type atmosphere, and against a really good team, and I think there'll be a lot of memories made from that game.
I know a lot of expectations for next year, no question. You don't have a season like this and not have high expectations. Right. But I want to talk about your quarterback room for next year.
Yeah.
I'm looking through stats. I'm an analytical guy. I look at numbers, and you lose a quarterback in Kilgo who has a 1,000% completion percentage.
Yeah.
Right. Hold on, coach. And then you got the freshman Sam Legg. 1,000% completion percentage. Then you got some junior that'd be a senior with only a 72% completion percentage.
I mean,
who's going to start next year, Coach?
Yeah, hey, we don't have a quarterback controversy already, do we?
I think we do. There was 1,000%, Coach.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things. Those guys are all outstanding leaders, and I can tell you this, as crazy as it sounds, if we walked in tomorrow and told Brody Blevins, who threw for over 2,000 yards this year, rushed for about 600 or whatever, had 25 touchdown passes, 1 interception.
Can we talk about that 1 interception?
Yeah, that would be kind of like, I'm sure him and his dad talked about that. Right? That's kind of the way we as dads always remember things, right? But if we walked in tomorrow and said, Brody, we're going to go with Sam Legg as our quarterback next year, and I need you to play running back, Brody Blevins would be without hesitation all in on that.
Sure, he would.
He's just that kind of kid.
Yeah.
His leadership ability, though, that he has, and the ability that he has to inspire all those around him to play at their highest level. He's the epitome of a leader, and you can't have somebody in that position that don't have the respect of the locker room, that don't have the respect of everybody out there. And what makes him so special is that he is that guy. Mm-hmm. And I tell my guys all the time that the true leaders are the ones that can inspire everybody else around them to be their absolute best. And that's what he does. And Bo was kind of an emergency guy for us here. He played some quarterback for us as a 10th grader. He was a guy that you could count on to go in and run the offense. Sam Legg is going to be special. He's a hard-nosed guy. He's my kind of guy. And he was battling back from an ACL injury that he sustained in 8th grade. And so
tough.
He never really got turned loose probably to the last 3 weeks of the season, to where he just finally let it all go. And you saw some glimpses of how special he's going to be. And he's going to be a great player for us as well. But, the leadership that those 3 guys provided made it possible for them to be a quarterback to command the huddle and get everybody else to play at the highest level.
I don't know if it's possible, but you look at the strides that Blevins made from sophomore to junior year.
Right.
I don't think you can make that same stride from junior to senior year. Well, he is incredible.
Well, like I said,
he don't get the credit he deserves, in my opinion. Right. And as a media group, we're going to take some responsibility on that, because I don't think we talked about him enough, to be honest.
Well, and if we threw it 30 times a game versus, how many pass attempts did he have in 12 games?
197.
So in 12 games, that's what, 16 times a game, roughly, that he threw the ball. To put up those numbers in 16 attempts a game, and if we threw it 30, 35 times a game, you can pretty much double those numbers. Then you're looking at 44,000 yards and 50 touchdowns, But what our offense needed this year and what we needed out of him was some balance. And the challenge to him was to pick it up in your passing game, because he proved himself as a runner last year, rushing for running 1,500 yards as a sophomore. And he worked, and Brody worked, and there were times I'd look out the field house doors on a Sunday or something. I was in there working, and he'd have his mom and dad out there with him on the field, But he is a self-motivated young man. He's going to be one of those guys that'll be a 30-plus on the ACT. He's going to be one of those guys that wants to be the first one in the batting cages when baseball season amps up. He'll play some ball of some kind, either baseball or football, beyond high school. I think if he really wanted to put all of his eggs into it, he could be an outstanding quarterback prospect. But I know baseball's his first love, and it's like I told my own son one time. It's one thing to go out there and get hit by 300-pounders for the next 5 years. Another thing to go hit a baseball. I'm not so sure that hitting a baseball it's not a little bit more appealing. But
long term
is definitely more appealing. But if he wanted to be one of those guys that wanted to chase the dream of being a college quarterback, I definitely think he could achieve that goal. But again, just being what he is and the leader he is for our team, and I don't think there's a person in that locker room that wouldn't run through the wall for Brody Blevins, and I think that says a lot about him.
The highlight I remember, social media, somebody sent me, I can't remember who it was. It was like a 90-plus yard touchdown pass.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that one.
Yeah, I have a tendency. A lot of people, when they get backed up near on the goal line, they sneak.
Quarterback sneak, yeah.
I'm probably 50% of the time we're throwing it deep.
Right.
But we had a couple of 90-plus yard touchdown passes this year. I think both of them would have been to Brody Wood, if I remember right. But,
it's a good one to throw to.
Yeah, and making those plays and getting it out of the shadow of the goal line. You have some opportunities because people are pretty much packing the line of scrimmage and bringing the house, trying to pressure you, and he did a good job of hanging in there, and he took a hit on a couple of those throws, but he was able to get it delivered to the right guy, and that guy was able to have a lot of yards after the catch. But we had some big play potential this year. We made some big plays in the passing game and had some long rushes, but just overall, great job by our skill guys.
At your 20,000 foot view of this 2025 team, what is that? What is that looking down? What?
Just a bunch of guys that were hard nosed, played the game the right way.
Yeah.
Fought through being mediocre to taking it to pretty good, to taking it to an excellent level. The two losses we had are two teams that are still playing in the quarterfinals and the final eight. I think both those teams are really, really good, and they have chances to advance again to the semifinals this coming week. And again, it's no consolation to the kids. They don't want to play people close. You want to beat Geraldine, you want to beat Piedmont, you want to win those games.
Sure.
But I do think that these guys, when they reflect back on the last 3 years, at least for the guys that's been a part of the program that entire time, going from where we were to where we are now, there's got to be some feelings of satisfaction there that, hey, it was all worth it.
Coming into the season, I think we thought that, and we probably talked about this, that the offensive line was a question mark.
Yes.
Because 3 seniors last year graduated?
3 seniors last year, that's right.
Yeah, and I think your offensive and defensive lines were kind of a strength.
Well, by position group, we kind of felt like that quarterback room was strong because of leadership characteristics, but at the same time, I had not seen Brody perform like he did on the field.
Right.
And Sam's struggle to get back to 100%, was a little bit of a setback because I really had packages for him early in the year that we just weren't able to do to get him some game experience. But we felt like that room was we loved the potential of the quarterback room. We just weren't sure exactly what we were going to get. The running back room with Maximus and Brody Wood, had been 3-year starters. That's like having 2 coaches in the room.
Sure.
So we knew on their end they could handle formations and movements and motions and things. I couldn't really come up with something that could outfox them as far as them not being able to handle it. So we knew what we had there. Maximus Jones took tremendous strides. He went from being kind of a guy that was just steady. You could count on him, but he wasn't going to wow you. He went to being a playmaker. He had 11 catches in the game against Geraldine the other night out of the backfield. But Maximus went to a threat. Brody Wood might be the best overall athlete in the school when you combine strength and speed. And he's a 5'9" guy that can dunk a basketball 2 hands. He's an outstanding athlete. So we knew we had great minds in the backfield that we could do a lot of different things with them. They both caught the ball very well out of the backfield. We thought receiver would be a strong point for us. We had all 3 of our receivers in Bo, Brody, and Beckham coming back from last year, and then Parker Sims and Sawyer Stewart, Casey Patterson, Cordell Martin. We had some guys that we felt could give us some good depth there. And I thought our receivers really evolved into playmakers. We had some big plays out of all those guys. Offensive line, as you said, was a question mark going in with 3 new starters. I thought that they gelled really well as the year went along. We were rushing for right at 400 yards that night against Trine. We had 69 offensive snaps. I think we ran the ball 62 times that night. So it's kind of a role reversal on what you'd seen in some previous games. Defensive line, we felt going into the year was a strong suit for us because even though Easton and Isaiah were just sophomores, they both played or started a lot of times as freshmen last year, and you had Jake Haney in the middle. So strength-wise, that was by far our biggest strength group, and we felt like it would take a really good offensive line to move those three guys. Brooks Whiteside was returning an inside backer. We had big question marks there at the other inside backer. And Jerry Zarang and Jonathan Hurstman kind of tag teamed that other role, and man, they did a great job. Both of those guys were two of our most improved players on the team. They were playmakers for us throughout the year. Outside backer, we had Jackson Moratz, Titus Jones back. And if you look at those guys, they look like the guys you want to see getting off the bus first. They were 6'2", 6'3", 215. Made a lot of plays for us. Titus had right at 30 tackles for a loss this year.
That's incredible.
Interceptions, but he and Moratz blocking punts. I mean, and they're both juniors. We'll have both those guys back, so we're glad to have them back again. And then secondary-wise, Luke Thompson kind of took over the role of the veteran back there, his returning starter, and he had a really good year for us. Maddox Mooney, he really made tremendous strides from last year to this year. It was his second year to ever play varsity football. And so, Maddox will be back next year for his senior campaign. Gavin Michael, Carter Cawthorn, I think they both had 2 or 3 interceptions on the outside. Gavin had a couple kickoff returns for touchdowns. Carter had an interception return for a touchdown. Looking at our stats, I think we had like 8 block punts on the year. We had 3 or 4 defense. I think we had 4 interception returns for touchdown, 2 fumble recoveries by defense for touchdowns. So we were getting points, generating points in ways that weren't offensive. So we talk about complimentary football all the time. And then, of course, Reed Barber, our kicker. I think he's the best kicker in the state, regardless of classification.
If you only had a kicker, Coach.
Yeah, I think let's talk about the 1 missed extra point he had on the year.
His dad's talking about it.
Well, I think he's probably 69 out of 70 or something. He had like 68 touchbacks out of 75 kickoffs.
That's ridiculous.
Just a huge weapon. 43-yard punting average, and I think of the 18 or 19 punts he had on the year, 12 of them were inside the 20. So kicking game was really solid for us this year. On and on and on. We could go talking about the accomplishments of our players, but those position groups and listen, I've got some great guys helping me. Rob McHugh working with our receivers and our skill guys. Matt Brown, when junior high season finished, working with those skill guys. Adam Brown coaching our offensive line. Sean Smith working with our D line. Wayne Lee, our linebackers, and then Brad Lowe and Jimmy Easterwood, our secondary. Coach Phillips with our strength and conditioning, Coach Deere with our football ops, the staff that we've got. So thankful for each and every one of those men and the work that they put in. They're super good guys. They're great examples for our kids, hard workers, great football coaches. So just overall, our managers, we use 5th and 6th graders for managers. See those little guys out there every day.
Very physical managers.
See them out there at practice, and they're roughhousing with each other and and getting ready to be the next group of middle school kids. The work that they put in and the time and commitment they had, trainer Jacob Cole that we had full-time trainer with us this year, thankful for Sparks Neo Group and our school for coming together and providing that athletic trainer for us. Just overall, everybody in the organization, tremendous job.
Well, real quick for me, and then he's going to get into some other games. He's going to pick your brain. But your depth chart, you were talking about that just a second ago. Where do you need more bodies this coming year, the 2026 season?
Well, we'll have 41 of our 55 guys eligible to come back. So we got some great numbers there.
Good.
We got a good upcoming 9th grade class. Some guys that with hard work and the off season and stuff, we'll have some of those upcoming 9th graders that may have a chance to make a little noise for us. As a football coach, you never have enough linemen, right? No,
yeah.
Very few people grow up wanting to be a lineman, right?
Sure.
So everybody wants to. Even the smaller big guys say, "Well, can I be a tight end or can I be a fullback?"
Yeah.
If anybody's watching the show that's any of our upcoming players, people that want to be linemen are definitely craved. That's for sure. But you
want to be wanted.
That's it.
Be a lineman.
Developing more depth on the offensive and defensive line. There's always because you're gonna have people in those trenches. They're gonna get banged up. They're gonna roll an ankle. They're gonna sprain a knee. Stuff like that's gonna happen. So obviously, building some more depth on our offensive and defensive line would be a big thing. We got a good group of linebackers coming back. Got capable people in the secondary. A lot of people that got playing time. We're obviously gonna have all new skill guys on the offense. So there'll be all new starters everywhere except the quarterback position. So there's a lot of things wide open there for people to step up and have an opportunity to make plays. But I'm just excited about the future and all these guys getting out there and compete.
Lastly, on this team, I was surprised the game Kelly and I got to go to, how big that Will Chadwick was.
Yeah.
He's a bigger kid than I thought, right?
Yeah. Will's probably 6'2", 205 or so now.
I was surprised.
He really filled out, over the course of 4 years. And I said, talked a little bit about his football. He was on the team this year and didn't play a whole lot. Had a great attitude, though, when he come talk to me about wanting to play and be a part of the team his senior year. I told him, we were very upfront. I said, don't expect a lot of playing time now. I said, if you come out there and you earn playing time, that'd be great.
Yeah.
He worked hard, though. He never had a bad attitude for a single moment. He understood his role, and he played his role and did a great job for us.
Just you guys to see your kids in person.
Yeah.
Bigger size than maybe you've had in some years past.
Yeah.
And I have to credit some of that to the weight room.
No doubt. A lot of that, the nutrition program that we've invoked there, and the people that have invested the time in that nutrition program. I'm not going to start naming all the parents, but we're feeding the kids Tuesday and Wednesday after practice a supper. We're feeding them Thursday morning breakfast. We're feeding them on the road for post-game meals after a road game. Not nothing that a lot of other people don't do, but just the nutritional side of it and the weight room. I mentioned Coach Phillips earlier. He's been like a kid in a candy store. Having guys to train, year round. All of our sports, basketball.
It's like a mad scientist in there.
Soccer, football, he's got all his data there. We got the little vest on and see how hard they're working and what miles per hour they're running. And it confuses me. I just tell him, give me the report at the end. And he's done a good job of saying, hey, this is good because we're doing this, this, and this, and that's where you want to be at this time of the year. And I got a lot of faith and confidence in him being able to do that part of it. It's a huge part of building an athletic program, and all of our coaches have bought into it, from all of our sports, and everybody wanting to be a part of what we're doing in there, and they see the development. And I think you mentioned our kids and how they look. Obviously, if a kid walks on the field and he's 6'6", 315 pounds, he stands out.
Sure.
But to me, the bigger proof in the pudding, so to speak, of the weight program is how many of those 5'11" to 6'2", 180 to 210 pound kids that you got that are just athletic.
Yeah.
And when you got kids that people think they weigh 165 and they weigh 185, and they think they weigh 170 and they weigh 200, because they're put together and they're solid. That's what every coach wants to build.
Sure.
I tell people all the time, over the course of 30 years, I've changed a lot in what we do weight room wise because we're not in the business of building Olympic powerlifters. I don't really care how much you can deadlift.
Makes sense.
We want to build guys. Well, I said there was a time when everything about weightlifting was building a little Hans and Franz round muscle man guy that couldn't even put their hands together. That was everybody walking around all chest out and buff. If you want to build athletes, you want to build what I call long muscles instead of round. You want long muscle guys that can run fast and jump high.
Twitchy.
That's what you want, and that. So our weight program has went more in that direction to try to build an overall athlete. The old days, how much can you deadlift? How much can you squat? How much can you bench? I'm a big clean guy. I don't know how much can you clean.
Well, it's explosive.
That's we do a lot of hang cleans. We do a lot of things like that to try to generate explosive movement.
Mm-hmm.
And we may not have as many 300-pound bench guys as some other people do, but we may only bench one time in a week. Some weeks twice a week. We don't one rep max on squat. I don't care to see a kid go down with a knee injury in the rack trying to squat 505.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine with them doing 375 instead of 5.
And that is a year-round process. You guys work out year-round.
Well, and like I said, we don't have a football workout that moves into a basketball workout that moves into a baseball or soccer workout.
Yeah.
We just got a year-round workout program for our kids, and we work out every day during that athletic PE period, and then we practice after school. I got some football coaching buddies that are at places that, as soon as football season ends, all the kids go to the gym and they don't touch a weight for the next 3 months.
Yeah.
Or they do a couple, what I call supplemental things, just kind of stay in the routine. And you don't build strength and stuff, and you don't build athletes by working out for 3 months and then taking off for 3, and then working out for 3 and taking off and then doing this during the summer. just like we've learned with our own physical conditioning,
Sure.
being consistent and doing stuff is where you start to see the gains and the results. And, when you're at a place where you got a basketball coach and you got a baseball coach and a soccer coach that they understand we're trying to build these kids to be the best athletes they can be, they don't have a problem then with them being in weight training during their season or doing something on game day or whatever, and I think you'll find, if you just go and look at it, if you want to take the time and do the research, I think you'll find that probably 90% of your successful programs in any of your major sports have some type of program that they're doing with their kids year round.
I agree with that.
And I think if you took the time to do that, instead of just saying, well, Daddy said back in the day you didn't need to lift on game day, or Daddy said if you was a catcher you didn't need to do squats, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I tell everybody we only have them for 15 minutes on game days during football season, and everybody rushes down to the field house and we get in 3 sets of cleans and 3 sets of shrugs before we go to the pep rally.
Yeah.
So, I'm a big believer that a lot of those myths can be dispelled with results.
I think that's what most colleges are doing, actually.
Oh yeah. You see people travel now for these college games, and they got an 18-wheeler that they load up their weight room.
Absolutely right.
Because they're not going to take off from Thursday to Saturday.
That job sucks, by the way. That's the job you don't want.
I agree.
Dude, that's horrible. Hey, so let's talk, and you're going to be with us throughout the playoffs, so this isn't the last Coach Steve Smith show. Let's talk some tournament, right? Let's talk some football.
Yep.
We'll get your opinion on. We're going to start in 7A. It's the fewest games.
Right.
Thompson at Central Phoenix. What's your thoughts on this game?
These guys have played in the state championship game, I think, the last couple of years, and I think they maybe split those 2 games, if I'm not mistaken.
I have. Yep.
I know you don't say, "Oh, here comes Coach Smith's normal," but home field has home field has a lot to do with it when you get in these particular types of games. This is kind of what the 7A coaches, maybe not Thompson and Phoenix City wanted, but maybe what a lot of the other coaches wanted. They want to be able to see some other matchups throughout the games and throughout the playoff bracket. And although Phoenix City is at home, I think Thompson may have the better team. So I'm gonna go with a little bit of against my own. I'm going a little bit against my own theory, and I'm gonna pick Thompson here to win this game.
We talked about, and let's just get this other kick in.
Having trouble the last 2 days with spilling stuff.
Man, I keep spilling stuff in here.
That's hilarious.
Opelika at Auburn.
Yeah. Well, Auburn's going to have to be the favorite here, being the bigger school. Opelika, I think a lot of people view Opelika as kind of a little brother situation, but
yeah.
2 coaching buddies of mine there with Coach Etheridge at Auburn and Coach Brian, is it Moore? I think he used to be at Hartselle, and I had a lot of admiration for what he did when he was at Hartselle. And then Opelika, Opelika is one of those schools, kind of like Clay Chalk, Gadsden City, that had kind of teetered back and forth, being one of the bigger 6As or one of the smaller 7As. And I think this cycle right here, they had to take their turn being one of the small 7As. But I've told everybody, don't sleep on Opelika. Last week they were in a game, or 2 weeks ago, their first round game actually was against somebody that they were not favored against, and they pulled that one out.
These 2 teams certainly know each other.
They know each other, backyard rivals, and I think Auburn kind of feels a superiority over Opelika, but I think you got to go with Auburn in this game just because it's there at their stadium. I don't know if you've ever been to Auburn's high school stadium that's got a horseshoe in down there with blue. It's pretty cool. But I think it'll be standing room only when those 2 teams get together. But I'm gonna go with Auburn here, so I'm looking for an Auburn-Thompson championship game.
I just want to stay with that just a second. Auburn leads that series over Opelika 50-47, all-time series. And here's how close it is. Look at their points all time. Auburn scored 1,557 points all time, and Opelika scored 1,587 points all time. Such a close rivalry over the years, and that's.
There was a time when Opelika, when Coach McCracken was there, Opelika, Auburn high school football. Really, in the last 15 years, I guess, is when the high school team there, has become more of a dominant type program. Opelika probably has a little bit more historical. I don't know if either one of them's ever won a championship. I think Opelika may be the team in the state. I may be wrong on this, but Opelika is one of the teams in the state with the most wins without a state championship. Now, I don't know if Auburn's ever won a state championship. If it did, it had to be way back in the day.
You're stumping me with that one.
You 2 would know. For sure.
Our people will let us know. Jeff and I were talking about this game. We just think it'd be interesting if Thompson and Auburn wins. So that's the mini Alabama Auburn. Thompson is the University of Alabama High School.
Yep.
Anyway, let's go to 6A, Coach.
All right.
If we can.
Yep.
Let's start in the South. Hueytown at Ben Russell.
Yep.
Every time we see Ben Russell, we give a shout out to Coach Ryan Locke.
Yeah. Why's that?
That's where he played. It's his high school.
I didn't know that's where he was from.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, man, Ben Russell is a group of animals this year. I watched them the very first game of the year, and then, they beat Clay Central really bad. I think Clay Central scored like a tip pass on the last play of the first half, and that was their only points in that game. You want to know what type team Clay Central has. And then Ben Russell made a big tackle there on 4th down to win the game last week against a really good Theodore team that a lot of people,
Coach
looking at.
Retired.
Yeah, Steve Mask. He was supposed to have a press conference today to talk about his next step, but that kind of surprised me after the season that they had, But I think Ben Russell is a team on a mission, and I think a lot of people in the South are looking for a Ben Russell Saraland semifinal.
Is that what you see?
Probably.
Pike Road's good.
Pike Road's good. Watched them on TV one time earlier in the year when they were playing in the Crampton Bowl. They had a couple of exceptional players.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Shook Pike Road's went through a couple of coaches in the last 3 years, I think, but Coach Shook has settled in there, and I think Pike Road will give Saraland a good test, but I think Saraland and Ben Russell's probably the semifinal matchup that we're looking at in the South.
What a great game
Did
to
it,
watch.
didn't he?
That would be a good game to watch. Yeah, over in the North, you have the Shoals at Mountain Brook.
Yeah. And look, that's two of my big time buddies. Coach Yeager, at Mountain Brook has done a great job, and he actually recruited me when I was in high school. He was coaching at Troy at that time.
Yeah.
Rick Rhodes was the head coach, and Coach Yeager had Northeast Alabama, and so he was actually a guy that I knew when I was in high school, and have had a lot of admiration for him in his coaching career. And then Coach Baisden, he and I had a lot of similar paths starting out at small schools. Coach Basin was the head coach at Parrish when I was at Cedar Bluff. We locked horns with Parrish several times.
Yeah, you did.
Then he was at Cordova before he took Muscle Shoals, and when we played Cordova in the finals in 2009, when I was at Piedmont, he had left to take the Muscle Shoals job. So his assistant, Pete Bush, was that coach at Cordova in that game. And then he's gone to Muscle Shoals and obviously had tremendous success there.
What a great game last week beating Parker.
Yeah, Parker.
What a game.
17-14, I think it was. And then, Mountain Brook had their way with their opponent last week.
They did. At Fort Payne, which is surprising.
And Coach Elmore had done a great job at Fort Payne, but Mountain Brook kind of won that one handily. Where's that game at?
It's at Mountain Brook.
Mountain Brook's hard to beat at Mountain Brook. Big old 6A school, and they only got bleachers on one side.
One side, yeah.
So it's a different atmosphere.
It's like
Muscle Shoals is going to have a lot more college prospects on their sideline.
It's like Moody, right?
Leeds,
yeah, yep. Leeds is the one side, yeah.
Muscle Shoals from a college recruiting standpoint is going to have more guys. It's going to have stars by their names and things like that. Mountain Brook's going to be steady. They're like the little train that could. They're just right there. You're not going to see a whole lot of wrinkles from Coach Yeager. They're going to try to run the ball, control the clock, and that's a tough one. I'm gonna go with a road team upset. I'm gonna go with Muscle Shoals pulling an upset.
What have you done with Steve Smith?
I know it. I'm trying to let my hair down and be a little bit.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Be a little bit not so predictable.
I think this is gonna be predictable. Homewood at Clay Chapel.
Well, I think on a given night, Clay Chapel might be the best team in the state of Alabama, regardless of class. 3 straight years they've beaten Thompson, Mm-hmm. So they've proven that they can play with anybody at any time. I think their coach is really, really good. I like Coach Floyd a lot. I think he's a top-notch play caller. He gets his guys ready to play. Obviously, having great players helps with that.
It doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt. Homewood has been an interesting team to me this year. They lost that game to Mountain Brook on that wild 2-point conversion in overtime. You remember when they snapped it and the guy picked it up and heaved it like 40 yards and they called it like a Hail Mary.
I saw it on John Holder's show.
Yeah, it was kind of a crazy ending.
Yeah.
But, I don't sleep on Homewood in this game. I think this game's going to be a lot closer than what people think.
He's pulling the not so fast, my friend. Lee Corso.
I'm not going to go with that. I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to pick Homewood, but I think a lot of people expect this to be a 42-7 type game, and I see it more as a 31-21 type game.
Okay.
I think Homewood will stay in this game for a while, and I think Clay, having superior talent, will eventually win out.
Jump over to 5A football. Central Clay. Mm-hmm. You may even know that coach. Yep. I'm not sure if you've ever met. At Viger.
Hard to go against Coach Horn. On the road, going all the way to Mobile to play, Viger's going to be a very, 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 very good opponent.
Yeah.
One of the years after Coach Horn came back to Clay Central, he went to Ben Russell for a little while between Clay County, and then he came back to Clay Central. I want to say that first year back, they won the championship. I want to say they beat Viger. I'm not sure, but I think
I don't
Clay
recall.
Central they were in the north back then. That should have been 15, 16, somewhere in that range, but maybe even 19. I can't remember what year it was that he came back, but they won back-to-back championships when he came back to Clay Central, if you remember. And I think one of the years they beat Viger. But Viger is so talented, and they've been stingy all year long. Clay Central's always going to be stingy. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game. Viger as the home team is hard to go against them in playing in Pritchard. So I'm gonna take Viger.
Okay,
but I think it's gonna be like a 10-7, 14-10 type game. I don't think it won't be your typical 38-35 like you see in a lot of places.
Yeah, especially if the rain comes in, it's a great playoff football. That could be one of those old school throwback games.
I think that could play into Clay Central's hands if it is a wet night there in Mobile.
Yeah, I'm taking Viger only because they're green.
That's it.
Go Irish. Williamson at Catholic Montgomery.
Well, Catholic, the team that Coach Johnson left there, it looked in the beginning of the year, that maybe they weren't the Catholic of old. St. Clair County beat them early on, maybe the very first week. And I think a lot of people maybe viewed that as Catholic being down, but then we realized as the year went on how good St. Clair County was.
Fact.
And St. Clair County had a fine football team this year, and Catholic wound up coming back winning that region, and now here they are in the third round, which is familiar territory. That's where they're used to
been there before. Yeah.
So I think this game's going to be a lot better game than some people think.
Sure.
I think a lot of people think that this was just going to be a one-way type deal, but Catholic, the tradition they have and what they've accomplished over the last few years, coaching change, come in. Coach Chandler's done a good job with them.
They still got dudes. Got some dudes.
I don't know. What's the Jerry White line on this game?
Oh, let me go over to this other. Okay, hold on one second, Coach. Thank you to our sponsors while I'm looking this up.
I figured he would have that in his mind already.
No. I have limited space, right? I got time for everything. It looks like
all that Bible trivia you've been doing. That's what it is.
It is. Yeah. Williamson's a 12-point favorite.
And Williamson, of course, grabbed statewide attention this past year when they scored 100 points in the game. And they have a very explosive offense.
I don't blame them, by the way.
Where is this game at?
It is at it's at Montgomery.
So 3-hour bus trip from Mobile to Montgomery.
He even knows where they're stopping to eat at. He knows it all.
Sure. The Catholics, I'm sure, got the sign on the fence, 2024 state champions.
Sure.
Everybody sees when they have to walk in. Williamson, I guess, hasn't been there really since the Jamarcus Russell days.
Correct.
And the Etowah versus Williamson deal. Give me Catholic. Give me
Clip that. I want it played over and over.
Give me Catholic. At home with the tradition. Williamson not being there for a while, I'm gonna go with Catholic right here off the tradition.
I like it. Let's go for it. He went with the home team. Sure. All that talk with the home team.
Yeah.
Talking about travel.
Where they're stopping the sign. Let's go to 4A football, Coach. And wow, what a game. Anniston at Deschler.
Good grief.
Give me Anniston.
I like it.
Enough
I like it.
Anniston, Coach Rico's done a great job down there. Those guys, I can't recall in the last 30 years of my life when you didn't have 3 or 4 Division I type players on the field at Anniston. He seems to have those guys all pointed in the right direction. Everybody's focused on one goal. I think Anniston's going to be a very, very tough out for anybody in 4A North. And going on the road to Deschler, a lot of tradition at Deschler, but I don't think these are the same Deschler teams that we remember from the 90s and early 2000s. And I think Anniston is, if they can handle the trip, like I said, long trips a lot of times, first time, whatever you might say, if Coach can have a great itinerary and keep those guys focused, and they go over there with business on their mind and not the long trip, kind of jet lag type deal, I think Anniston comes home with a victory.
W.S. Neal at Jackson.
Well, W.S. Neal has had a great year. I mean, hats off. I think those two, along with St. Michael's, are all from the same region, and so 3 of the 4 teams left in the South are all from the same region. And W.S. Neal, they've already had one look at Jackson on the year. I still think Jackson is the odds-on favorite.
They had 6 starters out.
Well, Jackson's the odds-on favorite to win Class 4A,
as they should be,
until somebody beats them in the playoffs. I'm gonna take Jackson.
Plainview at Good Hope.
Good Hope has really caught my attention in the last 2 weeks. Beat my alma mater the first round of the playoffs.
We weren't going to bring
Cherokee County, and then last week, Cherokee County and West Morgan have been the 2 teams in 4A North really for the last 2 or 3 years that have been the one. So Good Hope not only knocks off Cherokee County round 1, but then they go on the road, I think last week, to West Morgan, who like a 34-game regular season winning streak, and beat them soundly 31-7. So I think Good Hope has definitely grabbed the attention of those of us around the state that really didn't keep up with them a whole lot.
Yeah.
Plainview, Dale Pruitt, seems like he's been coaching there 75 years. I love Coach Pruitt.
Enough said.
And he's got that program right back to where it was back in the 90s when Dale Pruitt was leading an undefeated Plainview team. Here they are 12-0. Got probably the biggest playoff game in Rainsville since Coach's previous tenure.
I agree.
At Plainview.
Yeah.
And after watching how they dismantled Alexandria last week, I thought that would be a great game, but I never expected it to be a 42-14 game.
Agreed.
I'm going to take Plainview at home.
Good Hope's at home.
Oh, I thought it was in Rainsville.
Mm-mm.
Oh.
I still take Plainview in this game, by the way. I'm not picking against Pruitt.
I'm glad you said that, because somebody had asked me if I wanted to go to the Plainview Good Hope game, because they're playing tonight.
Yeah.
I think they're playing a Thursday night.
Yeah, say Good Hope.
And if I'd have went to that game, I'd have went to Rainsville.
I know a couple good places to eat up there.
Katie's Catfish. I'd had to stop at Katie's Catfish and eat. And
that ain't bad.
I wouldn't have felt stupid.
Yeah.
Well, I would still felt stupid, but I'm glad you said something.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely not going to go to Good Hope.
But still,
that goes away from home.
All right. How about
who did I pick?
Plainview. You said
I
Plainview
at
home.
Plainview.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you took Plainview at Good Hope.
I did.
I'm still going to take Plainview just because Coach Pruitt's my friend.
What? More than that, he's a heck of a. I'm your friend. If I'm coaching, you ain't picking me, but let's be honest.
I would.
He's a good coach.
If he was coaching at Plainview, I'd probably take Good Hope.
There's no question. There's no question. No, I respect that.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
How about Bullitt County at St. Michael?
Bullitt County's had a great year.
Oh yeah.
They, hats off to them. I saw them on film earlier in the year against Mumford. When we played Mumford week 5, they had played Bullitt County a couple weeks earlier in the region. A lot of talented players there. They've achieved some things at Bullitt County this year that they haven't done in a long time. So a great season for them. But obviously St. Michael's is a different animal, knocking off Jackson earlier in the year in that big region game. And
what a game it was.
Not many schools here in Alabama have a future NFL Hall of Fame quarterback at the helm leading the charges. And
Jeff, you'll like this. The funniest thing I've seen in a long time. It was some news outlet down there, maybe out of Fairhope. They said they said for the next decade it's going to be like Fast and the Furious movies coming out, different rivers at quarterbacks.
Well,
there's so many of them.
Philip and his wife got like 11 kids.
They do.
10, 11 kids, but only 3 of them are boys. But they are kind of staggered, And Gunner, when you watch him,
Fast and the Furious. That's great.
Well, and
Gunner can spin it.
But Philip Rivers, he always, Alabama and Auburn both kind of passed on Philip Rivers when he went up at NC State because
they wanted to
play tight end. And he was a 6'5" strong arm guy, but he threw the ball from down around shoulder high. He didn't get the ball up, and it had what I would consider an unorthodox throwing motion.
For sure.
Well, I saw some clips the other day of Gunner.
Guess
how he throws it.
Just
like
his
dad.
Just like him. Yeah.
And it worked for 50,000 plus yards for his dad in the NFL. Might as well try it, right?
Yep.
But
maybe everybody else got it wrong.
Yeah. I think Bullitt County will probably turn in their pads in Monday. I'm looking for a St. Michael's versus Jackson rematch in the semifinals as far as 4A South goes.
I like it. Move on to 3A, Coach. I know you got some feelings on these.
Yep.
How about Montgomery Academy at Bayside?
I actually played both of those teams during my time at Piedmont. Montgomery Academy seems to be back to where they were just in 21. Bayside has been very impressive to me in that Region 1 down there that usually has the team that plays in the 3A championship game. A lot of times that team representative has come from 3A Region 1. Cottage Hill, they beat them earlier in the year, and then they turned around and beat T.R. Miller, who was really, really good. Seeing a little bit of Bayside just on the news clips, looks like they've got it going. I'm going to have to take Bayside Academy in this game.
Agreed. I think this one could be a little closer than a lot of people think. But I'm with you. I think
Is
Bayside.
Is it in Montgomery or Bayside?
It's Bayside. Yeah.
It's just something about when you hear Bayside. I mean, is Montgomery, did they go down there on Wednesday and enjoy the beach?
If their coach is good, they do.
Yeah, but Bayside just sounds like a place that you want to go.
You want to go visit there.
Yeah.
Glenwood School, Southside Selma.
Wow. Talking about complete polar opposites. Glenwood just been in association for 2 years.
Yeah, they're good.
And supposedly loaded with talent, and then seeing what the Moody kid has done as an 8th grade quarterback at Southside Selma, and
Spinning it.
I think 3 receivers over 1,000 yards. And the season they've had, I think they're 12-0.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with Southside Selma here just because they're the home team. I'm right on that.
You're right. Yep.
Glenwood at Southside Selma. So I'd already messed up one time. But I'm gonna go with Southside Selma as the home team, and those guys and those playmakers.
I think it's a close game though.
But I think Glenwood will give them all they want.
Yep. Gordo and Piedmont.
Give me Piedmont.
I like it
All day.
I didn't have to ask you. I could have made that pick for you, Coach.
I'm a believer, and I'll probably make the trip to watch that one just because it's a mile from my house. Don't have to get in late. And I don't have to worry about going to sleep on the way home if I'm driving.
No catfish though.
But but I think Piedmont. I think Piedmont is on a mission. I look for them to take care of Gordo at home.
Geraldine Mars Hill Bible College.
The conventional wisdom, everybody's already written in Mars Hill as a repeat 3A champion.
I did at the start of the season.
Well, they've just blown everybody out from 5A Russellville to 5A Scottsboro. Madison Academy early in the year.
You missed that game.
Steamrolled through the region. But if there's one team that's a little bit of Mars Hill's kryptonite over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
2 years ago, Geraldine beat Mars Hill.
We did.
And that's the semifinals, and had not for a slip on the field, probably would have beaten Madison Academy and played for the championship.
Yeah.
Last year, I think Mars Hill kind of steamrolled everybody in the playoffs, and I think it was like 25-21 that they beat Geraldine. Mm-hmm. I would imagine Mars Hill was probably pulling hard for us last week to beat Geraldine, because I think if there was one team that Mars Hill didn't want to have to play in the playoffs, it was Geraldine. The big difference this year, though, is Geraldine's having to go to Florence to play it. So the last couple of years, I think it's been at Geraldine both times. But I definitely think this game will be closer in the beginning than anybody wants. It wouldn't even surprise me if it was 14-14 at halftime.
Yeah.
I do think that over the course of the game that the team that's got the deeper roster with the players that are considered to be bigger impact type players.
Sure.
I think Mars Hill probably wins the game at home, but it would not surprise me if Geraldine makes this a lot better game than most of the experts are giving them a chance.
We're rooting for Geraldine. It's hard not to. Coach has been so good to us.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's hard not to root for him in that particular matchup.
Yep.
Do you want to talk 2A football, Coach?
Sure. I like all of them.
I know you do. How about a team that a lot of people I don't think know a lot about? Reeltown, everyone knows about. Right. At Providence Christian.
One experience with Providence Christian, they were a 3A baseball program one year. When I was at Piedmont, we played them in the state championship series, and they beat us two games to 1 down in Montgomery. Don't really know a whole lot. That same year, they were in the 3A quarters or semifinals, maybe against Mobile Christian. I think that's who it was. So I got to see them also with their football team, and that was an extremely talented group of kids that they had that played football and baseball that year. It's hard to go against Reeltown and all that tradition that they have.
Defending champions.
Defending state champions. I got to give Reeltown the nod here.
Yeah, okay. Let's go a little Lynette at Luverne. That's going to be a game.
The battle for the L, right?
Yeah.
Lynette, all the tradition at Lynette, state championships when Coach Story was there.
Yeah.
Luverne, tons of tradition at Luverne. One of the winningest coaches in state history, I think, was at Luverne. Got most of those wins.
That's right.
Glenn Daniel. Luverne caught my eye early in the year. They beat somebody that was a perennial small school power, being like 75-0. I think it might have been Brantley. But Luverne, if you look for the year, I think they're averaging 60 points a game or something. I want to say they're the leading scoring team in the state of Alabama.
It's ridiculous.
Lynette, on the other hand, Lynette, one of their big rivals is Hanley.
Hanley,
Even though Lynette's a 1A, 2A, and Hanley's like a 4A, and then they played Hanley's butt off this year. It was a very close game. I think a lot of people have been sleeping on Lynette because you just don't see the eye-popping statistics and scores. If it's an upset, call it an upset. I'm going to go with Lynette in this game.
It would be a small upset. The line on this game is Laverne -3.
Yeah. I'm going to go Lynette and maybe a minor upset, but it's hard to go against that tradition at Lynette.
How about Pisgah at Southeastern? I think Southeastern surprised people, but they had a nice run last year too.
Well, Southeastern probably has improved as much as anybody in Class 2A from the beginning to the end. I
agree.
Their opening game of the year, Glencoe
7-0.
Yeah, and it was a game. You can either say it was great defense or futility on offense on both sides. It was just back, pumping the ball back.
Both those teams got better though.
They did, and I think Southeastern probably Coach Bird and his bunch has probably made as much improvement as anybody from the beginning to right now. I think this. Did I read right? This is the second time in history they've advanced to the quarterfinals.
Correct.
First time I think that they've hosted a quarterfinal game, so I know there'll be a lot of excitement on their campus.
It's a pretty campus too.
It is, and Pisgah has. I actually passed through Southeastern. I passed through somewhere I like to take in their football stadium, and so I just drove in and looked around, and it is a neat place.
Yeah,
I knew it was where close to where it was over Blount County area, but I'd never been to it. But as I was passing through and I saw the sign, I went over and checked it out. So
tough place to call a game.
Tough place to call a game.
Neat place. Pisgah, catching Pisgah coming off the coaching change, but did they really change coaches? I mean, Coach Pruitt left the head coach, but the continuity that they had right there with Coach Gilbert, Pisgah has been close the last couple of years and just not been able to get over the hump. I'm gonna go with Pisgah right here in a close ball game and just basically going off the last couple of years' success that they've had, and this might be the year that they get over that hump right here in round 3.
So the fourth road team he's taken.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
How about TA, Tuscaloosa Academy at Coosa Christian?
I think it's a tough ask for Tuscaloosa Academy, to be honest with you. I think Coosa Christian has probably got the best team in Class 2A. They've proven it on the field. Their losses have been against teams that were much bigger than them. They've taken on anybody and everybody and held their own with all of them. They've already played this game once at Tuscaloosa Academy, 35-14 or something like that. I don't see anything changing.
35-21.
35-21. I don't think from week 10 to week 13 that Coach Wright and Tuscaloosa Academy have found any kind of magic unless they can cast a spell on the running back and quarterback at Coosa Christian and some of those linemen get sick or something. I look for Coosa Christian to have their way with Tuscaloosa Academy.
Moving on to 1A, Coach, and we'll get you out of here. How about Addison at Marion County?
Two old school powers right there.
Yeah, man.
You go back and look at the history.
Way back.
Some state championships in the trophy case at both those places. Had the privilege of playing against both of them during my time at Cedar Bluff in the playoffs. Two really, really proud communities. Ewan and Addison are both super tight communities. A lot of times the coaches played there, and I'm a little bit out of the loop on who's coaching there now. If it's still an Addison guy or if it's still a Marion County guy. But Marion County kind of caught everybody's attention, I think, when they took down undefeated Appalachian.
They did.
Addison, my biggest memory of my times playing Addison when I was at Cedar Bluff, and we played them twice regular season when I was at Piedmont, a home and home. They would run 40 kids or so out on the field at Addison, and every one of them looked like they were between 5'11 and 6'2", and they all weighed between 180 and 200. Some of them wore 55, and some of them wore 5, and some of them wore 1. You really couldn't tell the difference between the linemen and the skill guys on their body appearance, but the 11 they put out there would hit you in the mouth, and that's something that's just old school football. This will be an old school Addison approach versus a speedy Marion County approach. Game is where
it's at Marion County.
I'm gonna take Marion County as a home team. Stick with my guns.
The line on that game would be Addison -10. Just for information. How about the Southern Choctaw at an unbelievably tough Maplesville team?
Maplesville's a team to beat in 1A. I know Maplesville and Wadley played last year, and Wadley had their way, and it's shaping up like to be a Maplesville-Wadley rematch. But I think when I saw what Maplesville did to Fife in the Champions Challenge and the defense at Maplesville this year is giving up 2.7 points per game.
Yeah.
I think when you get in, you go through 12 games, I think you get up 30 points or 29 points or 31 points, whatever it is. That a lot of people gave up that half this year. And they've given up that amount of points in 12 ball games.
You know what? Defense travels. That's what I'm saying.
No doubt.
Good defense travels.
Defense don't typically slump.
That's exactly right. How about Leroy at McKenzie?
McKenzie is one of those teams. It's a feel-good story. You want to pull for the underdogs there. Leroy, the Bears, they're kind of the big bad Bears. They've won a lot of championships in the last 20 years.
Yeah, we saw them 2 years ago, Coach.
Yeah,
we know all about them.
They had a Mr. Football down there one time with Clint Mosley. They went to Auburn. Sammy Coates was a receiver, played in the NFL. A lot of tradition at Leroy, a lot of championships there. The non-biased fan would probably want to see the Cinderella upset there with McKenzie.
They're favored by 6, by the way.
And then they've had a great year. McKenzie ain't never been here.
They don't know.
Leroy's been here. I'm going to take Leroy in this game.
And last, Hubbardville at Wadley.
Oh, man, Hubbardville's had a great year. And
he ain't taking the visiting team on this one.
Long trip back to Hubbardville from Wadley. There's no easy way to get to Wadley from Hubbardville for sure.
Or from anywhere.
Hubbardville, for a long time, Coach Harris was the head coach at Hubbardville for like 40-something years. Yeah. Hubbardville's had some teams here in the last 10 or so that have made deep playoff runs. But I think Wadley's going to be too much for Hubbardville, and I'll take Wadley to win this one.
That's all I got.
Man.
I love this, man.
He drops football knowledge.
Love it.